Hi there. Welcome to the first unit of Scriptwriting 215. In this unit, we're going to talk about the model of playwriting that I use, the difference between writing spoken word and prose, some of the unforgivable mistakes of writing for voice, and the forms of writing for voice. We'll look at the relationship between writing voice and creating character, what effect style in writing has on how we write voices, and the concept of playability. Then we're going to take a tour around the writing process model that will be used throughout the course and talk about how we get your flow working. And finally, we'll start writing for voice, and you'll draft and present your first unit project, a character monologue. I call this section meat. And anyone who's vegan, please remember, I'm not talking about eating meat. I'm talking about writing it, building a script from a combination of the soft conceptual parts, like character, voice, backstory, setting, motives, and what we call super objectives, the things that matter most to a character, which I call the meat of a script, or if you prefer a plant reference, the pulp or the pith. In Unit 2, we'll look at the hard structural parts of script, the dynamics, plot, conflict, the shape of scenes, and of the story told by the scenes, which I call the bones, or for plant people, the fiber. When we combine these and the breath, that is the energy, the lift of your imagination, you have the basics of a script, which then becomes a blueprint for a living thing, a performance. Many writers and most playwriting courses start with the bones. You're asked to figure out a plot and build from the bones of that story, adding the finer points of character, voice, context, and at some point, hopefully, meaning. I begin this course the other way around. I'm a playwright who begins with the meat, the character, and the search for meaning and emotional veracity of the people I imagine. Once I have that, I tend to find a story that naturally evolves from the sort of people they are and the sort of questions I share with them. My once upon a time tends to start with, there was something very specific. For example, a librarian with huge intimacy issues who still thought she should have a baby, who was obsessed with the story of Thumbelina. And I start talking in my imagination, but I actually do this out loud, to the character. I start talking to the people around her. I start imagining the what ifs. And pretty soon, I know her, and I can hear her, and I hear who she might be talking to. I start to see what world she lives in, and a story evolves. To split script writing into two things, meat and bones, is a false dichotomy. Starting from the story will eventually generate characters. Starting from the characters and theme will drive the shape of the story. If it's not an organic event either way, where all of that sort of thing is bubbling around, it's probably not going to be very good. But different kinds of writers start different ways, and the bones first method is taught more often, which I think poorly serves meat first types like me. So we're going to start here. We'll get to all three, meat, bones, and breath. You're just going to have to stick with me through the three sections. For this section, our key concepts and key questions are going to be, what is speech? That is writing for voice versus other sorts of writing. What's character? How does character combine with speech to become character voice? What kinds of speeches are there, and what is the process by which we begin to write character speech? We'll begin with setting some terms of reference, what we mean by writing for voice or writing spoken word, or how the nature of your writing for voice will help define your character's nature for the audience. Because character is a big part of the meat, and how you write your character's voice is one of a scriptwriter's main ways of building the meat of a play. Warning, this is the talkiest part of this course because I have to set up most of the ideas we're going to use for the whole course. So set aside enough listening time for this one, and be sure to download the text versions of each audio lecture so you can double check what I've said, go to the links I've referred to, and have the ideas in front of you when we meet for our real-time workshops. But we're going to start, as we will each unit, with your moment of Zen, a name I flat out stole from Jon Stewart's Daily Show, because these two are little bits of wonderfulness that I found on the internet that I want to share with you for this course.